Alrighty, folks. Hopefully you have seen by now. I was recently lucky enough to be interviewed by Ryan Pineda. I think there's about 66,000 views. And thank you, thank you, thank you. Mr. Millennial Mike has gone through it, and he's apparently picked out his favorite moment. So I don't know what this is. We're going to react to it. So thank you for doing this, man.
So for those of you out there who know Mike and my story, I've known him for 5 years. I have his book. I've spoken at his first real estate meetup. I have his second book. I know his story really, really well. And so when I see an interview like this, something with Ryan Pineda, and you're telling your background, your history, your story, I'm pleasantly surprised when I hear something that I hadn't heard previously. And what you talked about that I thought was just a gangster baller move was the day you quit. And what went down that day? How did you walk in and just drop the hammer on that final day? I hadn't heard this story. So I'm going to play your minute-long clip about this, and then you can just expand on it, and we'll go from there if you're ready.
Oh, yeah, that should be fun. I actually don't remember what I said, so this should be good.
Okay, so you end up accumulating 180, and were you just like, you know what, we're good. I don't need to do this anymore.
That's an interesting story. So my wife had retired early because she wanted out. I actually planned to work until I was 50.
Okay.
I loved my job. I loved it. I'd have done it for free.
Yeah.
Right. I just loved the energy and being that guy. And because I was a sales guy, we had new quotas every year.
Yep.
Right. New quota, new team, new products, all of the stuff.
And you want to be the top guy.
I want to be that guy. Right. So, you get an ego and you start telling people what you want and you don't want. I told my team I didn't want these 3 things. They gave me those 3 things. They gave me a new boss that didn't like me and I didn't like him. And within about 15 seconds of that conversation, I said, give me a package. I'll say nice things. You say nice things. I'm going to leave. 45 years old, right? February 1st, 2018. Just walked out the door. I went to work that day excited because I just killed it the year before.
Yeah.
Right? Going to be on stage, getting the big prizes. And I didn't make it to lunch. I was gone in the morning.
That's like what's a whirlwind like? Totally out of left field.
Oh, Olivia. I texted her on the way home, and I was like,
she didn't believe you.
No, she didn't.
Yeah,
no, she didn't believe. She's like, no, you're not. I'm like, yeah, honey.
Yeah, like I'm serious. I'm
done. Yeah, I'm done. I left. Yeah.
And then after she knew you were serious, how was that conversation?
She was a little shocked because again, we'd always talked 50.
Yeah, and you just killed it.
Yeah, I just killed it. Just had a great year. We were going to go to wherever the next club event was, Hawaii or Mexico or wherever it was. And
yeah.
No, and I'm coming home at 11:15 and not going back. Yeah, I'm not, honey. I'm not going to work tomorrow. Yeah, it was pretty wild.
So, Mike, what I heard from there was you walked in one day and they said, Mike, you've done great. You look great. Here's your new boss. And you took one look at him and said, no, I don't think so. What happened?
Yeah. So again, it was really a collection of 3 things, right? So again, in a sales job, you really do essentially start from scratch every year. New team, new quota, new boss are all 3 things that could change. And, I happened to be at a place where I was there multiple years. I had killed it multiple years in a row. I had taken a product from 0 to $100 million, right? Things that most people have never done, and certainly never done more than once. And I've done it 3 times. So I was feeling my oats, and I lit the powers that be, right? The senior VP of sales sat 10 feet from me. So I let her know, what I expected, and more importantly, what I didn't want. Because that's when you're in my game, it's more about not getting the shit, but having a chance. Because sometimes when you get a new quota, new team, new products, new boss, there's really nothing you could do to succeed. Right? It's a legacy product, or it's aged out, or whatever it is. So I told them what I didn't want. And yes, the person that they had above me hated me, and I hated him. But that was only one of the 3 pieces. I might have been able to make that work. Maybe. But when you also give me a product that is long in the tooth, and you give me a quota where I can't make any money, no shot at money, and a guy that I can't stand. And in fairness, I want to be clear, he couldn't stand me either. He thought I was an arrogant prick, and he was probably right. I'm like, I don't want to work for you for a year. Because what happens in my career is if the first quarter, ho-hum, second quarter, if you're not hitting their numbers, they put you on plan. So when I looked at this situation, I was like, man, I could go from building a product from 0 to 100 million bucks here and be fired in 9 or 12 months. I'm like, no thanks. So yeah, when I got 1, 2, 3, and he's sitting in the room at the fucking chair looking like a Cheshire cat, because he knows he's going to grind me.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I didn't even sit down. I didn't even sit down. I'm like, fuck, this guy. And again, I want to be clear. He hated me even more, right? So it was equal hate. And I didn't even sit down. And I remember they were going through this, that, and oh, don't worry, you can do it. Look what you did last year. Rah, rah, blah, blah. And I remember stopping them because there's a HR person in the room. And I said, you know what? This isn't going to work. You don't like me. I don't like you. There's no mutual respect. This is not going to work. Give me a package and I will say nice things and you will say nice things. And took it back. And he hated me. He's like, we're going to do that. I'm like, yes, out the door. I walked back to my desk. I think I sent out one more email for one of my team members that should have gone to club. I grabbed 2 family photos and left everything all the awards, everything else was left on the desk, bounced. Texted Olivia in the elevator, coming home.
And she said, why are you playing jokes on me, man?
Yeah, I wish I could remember exactly what she said. I think she said something like, you don't feel well? Like she thought I was sick or something. So I had to explain, no, honey, I just quit my job. I just quit out of, a 30-second conversation.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people have the fantasy of walking in and telling their boss to pound sand. I don't ever think about wanting to tell my boss, but I'll tell you what, when I get that 2 a.m. SWAT call out in the middle of the night, we got some dude who's shooting at law enforcement, barricading his house. It's like, oh man, I'm tired. I'd rather just respond with no thanks. I'm good. I'm sleeping tonight.
I'm going back to bed.
Right, exactly. And so, I know there's a lot of people out there who want to get into real estate because they want to be able to have the financial freedom to tell their boss to go to hell, or maybe just to even quit peacefully because they'd rather do different things with their life. So and Brian Pineda alluded to it, you guys continued on it in that interview, which people should go watch. I'll post the link for it in the description below. But how did having the financial security from, all of the rental units that you have alleviate the pressure in that moment? Because I'm sure a lot of people would think, how am I going to get my next paycheck? But for you, what was going through your head?
So one of the things, if you had been around me at that time and worked where I was, I wasn't shy. I mean, everybody knew. I mean, the VP of sales and I would drive her because we were, 10 feet from each other. If we had to go to San Francisco, I worked in San Jose or wherever it was. I would drive her up there. We'd have 45-minute conversations. She knew my plan to work till 50. She gave me, inside information. I could have probably fought this crap shoot that I got, but it wasn't worth the headache. It obviously felt great. I went from standing in that room going, God, this is going to suck, to, you know what? You don't have to be here. You hate this motherfucker. So yeah, it was a pretty good feeling.
Well, I definitely can say for a lot of people, myself included, I'm looking forward to the day when I get to say my the income produced by my rental properties is sufficient enough to the point where I no longer have to do, and what I did this week was my regular 40 hours a week. And in the last 6 days, I've done 40 hours of SWAT call outs for different things, middle of the night, middle of the day, 100 degrees yesterday. And I'm sitting there in a hazmat suit, quite literally sweating myself to death. It was miserable. And I'm looking forward to being able to myself walk in and say, I'm out. Bye. All right, Mike. I was going to say, that's all I had for this one. This is my favorite part of the interview. I liked that story. I hadn't heard it before. People should go and watch it. Appreciate you for having me on, Mike. Thanks.
You got it.